All right, all right. Welcome to the podcast, guys, with Rob and Nando. Tonight, we're going to do a quick live just to get on here. We didn't get a chance to get on here over the weekend. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that notification button. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Facebook, Spotify, Threads, and X. The Podcast Guys, the Podcast Guys _ or the Podcast Guys 5 on X. So why don't we jump in? We're going to keep it short and sweet tonight with our topic, which is, what's our topic for tonight?
I believe our topic today is intentional dating. We're going to talk a little bit about how we live in a hookup culture. One of the biggest problems with dating nowadays and why both men and women are showing signs that they're kind of frustrated with it. You'll hear both men and women say like, I'm trying to protect my peace, or some people have given up on dating altogether. There's a lot of negativity around the dating scene for a valid reason. So we're going to get into that today, and we'll get into some things that need to change and how you should approach it.
Yeah, I mean, what has to change in 2026? We just hit February, right? February 1st, actually February 2nd now. And so many things with the world, of course, is going on, but we're hopped on dating, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But intentional dating, everybody's kind of all over the place when it comes to dating. It's romantic relationships, it's situationships, it's marriage, it's just hookups. So what's the deal with intentional dating? And in dating with purpose is really one of the main points we want to jump on tonight. So we're going to be doing, again, a quick live. So if you guys don't mind shooting us a subscribe, comment if you have something to say. Hello to you guys coming into the chat. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Thanks for coming on. We're going to be pretty quick tonight. We appreciate you guys being on and supporting your boys. So dating in 2026, what's it going to be like? Is it going to be intentional? Is it going to be just hookup culture? Is anybody going to get married? So what's the situation? Why is intentional dating important in 2026? You have a reason, Rob?
Well, look, I'll start off by saying this, and this is going to completely be up to the person, right? Some people are specifically looking for hookups. So if that's the case, if you're just looking to hook up and not really have a monogamous relationship or pursue somebody in that sense, then this is definitely the time to do it. Because in general, men and women kind of hook up, talk for a few weeks, a few months at most, and in the meantime, they're talking to other people. There's no seriousness behind it. However, if you are looking for a serious relationship, somebody to have a long-term relationship with, you have to approach it differently. The first thing I'll say on this list that you have to do, especially as a man, is you have to make your intentions known. There's a lot of game playing. It's very easy to fall into this thing where you kind of don't want to like show all your cards on the table, so to speak. So I think as a man, sometimes we maybe refrain a little bit and we want to not to show the girl or tell the girl like, hey, I am looking for a serious relationship. But honestly, that's not the right approach. You should at some point make your intentions known and talk about that. And we actually just did an episode with Sasha Prendez, and we were talking exactly about this. And she said that the biggest problem she has with a lot of men is they don't really tell the woman what they want. They're not verbal about it.
And that's a problem. You have to be upfront with your intentions, whether it is that you want to hook up or whether it is that you want something serious and romantic. It's very important that you figure out what it is you want. You're upfront about it. Let that person know. So they're not wasting your time and you're not wasting your time either. So one thing that comes to mind and the importance of intentional dating is the whole burnout situation, right? Ghosting, the situationships. There's a lot of burnout. Just people are emotionally tired, kind of, they're done with dating. Some of them say, they're tired of dating. They're done with dating. They don't want to do it anymore. The burnout is real. So one reason there why you want to be upfront, if you're intentional with dating, if you're serious about dating, is because you don't want to burn somebody out. You don't want to burn yourself out. And it really protects you and the energy you're putting into something. Are you putting energy that's worth it into this person? Well, you don't know because maybe you are the one that is intentional about dating and maybe the other person isn't. So it's not only up to ourselves to figure out whether we're intentional or not when it comes to dating, but we also have to figure out what the intentions of the other person is as well. Are they intending on hooking up with you and then leaving you high and dry? Or are they intending on, for, let's say, women's intentions for men? Are they intending on maybe taking advantage of men when it comes to going on these dinner dates and going on these expensive activities? And then men are hoping for some romance, some hookups, sleeping together, whatnot. And she makes that impression that she's willing to do that. It's not like the guy is expecting it and she's not putting it out there that it could be a possibility or not. But if she's putting it out there with those type of intentions, is she serious about them? And that's something for guys to really understand and try to weed that out, try to avoid wasting time. Because if they're not intending on doing any of that, which is fine, at least let the guy know so the guy is not putting his time and energy and wasting time hoping for a hookup. Mm-hmm. Or hoping, let's say, for something serious, because there are a lot of men out there that want something serious as well. So there are guys that want to hook up. They want the situationship. There's also women that want to hook up and they want the situationship. So it's tough to tell. So one thing is that you can control yourself. And then the other thing is figuring out what the intentions of that man, if you're a woman, or that woman, if you're a man, and figuring out what their intentions are so you don't waste your time.
Yeah, no, that which brings me to my next point. Both men and women should have boundaries when it comes to dating. I think dating nowadays has become so kind of like loose and liberated where people just kind of do whatever and put up with it with each other's shit. And then in the end, somebody ends up getting played, screwed over, disappointed, so on and so forth. That's where that burnout that you mentioned before comes from. Because I think, honestly speaking, both men and women are kind of fed up with how dating is going nowadays. We watch other channels just like ours. We listen to what women have to say. We bring guests on. We listen to what they have to say. In general, people are kind of fed up with it. So boundaries are very important. And the way that looks is, look, if you know what you're looking for from another person and you tell them what you're looking for, you may make it known, and they kind of waste your time. You know what I'm saying? Hang out with you one day, blow you off another day, give you excuses, give you attitude, disrespect you, shit like that. You should not let that go past a certain point. Anybody can screw up at a certain point in time or have a bad day or something. I'm not talking about that. But if you've been talking for like a few weeks and it's headed in that direction, have a conversation. If it continues, you should just end it. No explanation. There's no need to text. And like sometimes people get all aggravated and text each other these paragraphs. It's not really necessary. If it ever gets to that point, you should just cut it off, because people's actions are way more important than words.
100%. And one big word that people are always stuck on is almost.
Yeah.
Well, I almost hooked up with her, or I almost had a relationship with her.
Yeah.
And both sides are tired of almost. It should be what it is. So what's it going to lead to? What's the actions that you're both taking that's going to lead to something? Again, whether it's a hookup or whether it's a relationship, what is the intention of this? What's the purpose of this, right? So you're not wasting time. I think that's huge. And, one thing to look at when it comes to intentional dating also is, ambiguity being a red flag, right? That's kind of the new red flag. So the lack of clarity, is there anything that's clear anymore? Is there anything that's put up front anymore when it comes to intentional dating? It's tough to tell. It's tough to tell with a lot of people playing games. Of course, it's, not just the women, but it's men playing games as well. It's both sides. I think both sides have to be clear about what they want. And that's going to save a lot of time, and it's going to, show that there's communication earlier in the relationship, in the potential, relationship, whether it's serious or not. I think that's huge. I think communication's key.
Absolutely, and a lot of people have their guard up around dating. You'll kind of sense that energy right out the gate that people aren't so willing to let another person into their life that quickly anymore, and it's for that exact reason. It's trust issues. It's previous bad experiences. Everybody's had them. Everybody's had a scenario where things didn't go they wanted, and they got screwed over, played, cheated on. Like there's a million different ways it can go. But look, if you're direct with what you want, I'm not saying you should do it on the first date, but if you've been talking for a few weeks, you should be absolutely be direct with what you want and say it. Because look, in the worst case scenario, the person's going to tell you that's not what I'm looking for, and at least both of you will know. And in the best case scenario, they'll know where you're coming from. And honestly, I could tell you, women prefer it when you're direct and verbal with them. Women tend to be a little bit less direct, and like they expect you to read their body language and their signals, and they want you to read them, right? But women expect men to be more direct.
100%. 100%. That's the way to go. For men to be direct, for men to be upfront, for men to find a way to open up a woman when it comes to what she's feeling. Try to get out of her what she's feeling and what she's thinking, because she may not want to say it up front. But if you are able to get it out from her, you may make way on what direction you're going in with that relationship, situationship, whatever it is. So
what's something every man wants to avoid? The friend zone, right? The friend zone, there's a few ways you could end up there, but one of the ways you'll end up there is by not making your intentions known.
100%.
By playing it too safe, too friendly, not trying to sleep with her on the first night, showing her that you're a good guy. You're not showing her your true intentions.
And that's the thing. You have to be upfront so you can show her your true intentions, and then she can tell you whether she's into it or not. Is she into the hookup? Is she into sleeping with you on the first date or third date or whenever it is, if that's what you're looking to do? If she doesn't want that, then that's not the girl. That's not the woman that you should be going after. Now, if you're trying to get into a serious relationship, and you make your intentions known up front, and she gives you that vibe that she may go for it. Obviously, it's going to take some time to get to that point, because women are emotional, and it takes them time to open up emotionally like that, trying to get into or create some sort of relationship. So it's up to you as the guy to figure out what she wants. And that's another thing that we could focus on when it comes to intentional dating, and why it's important is time. Time is very valuable. Nowadays we're in such a busy world. Things are moving so quick. Activities are happening so quick. The good times fly by. The times where you're stuck at work for hours upon hours are just going slow and slow. So, time does go quick, but also you want to be able to allocate your time properly so you don't waste it. You're putting your time into work and making money and trying to survive in this difficult economy. Well, that's something that you want to figure out. Hey, I have this time for that, and I have a certain amount of time to go out on dates and spend my time and energy on that. And you don't want to be wasteful when it comes to that. I think a lot of people tend to waste their times, and in 2026, it should be something that you avoid.
Yeah, that's another thing that people are tired of too. And you hear this again, but from both the male and female side equally. People are tired of wasting their time. They're tired of wasting their time, like spending weeks, months talking to somebody. It goes nowhere, or it starts off and then it veers off. You lose interest. You get ghosted, like you mentioned before. So that's all extremely common. Maybe years ago, you were able to take things a little slower and things will work out. But let's be real. We live in a time where, and I'm not throwing shade on women. I think women, this is just a part of their dating strategy. No woman's talking to just one guy.
Nope.
No woman. You might think she's just talking to you, but she's always going to have at least a guy or two, if not more, on the back burner, or somebody that she's talking to on the side, just in case things don't work out with you. She already knows who's next in the line. And that's been their strategy for a while. And I think men do the opposite. They latch onto one girl for the most part, put all their attention on one girl, and then when shit goes south, they're like all beat up about it for months. Meanwhile, she's already, surprise, moved on to another guy. Women move on a lot quicker.
Yeah, they have it planned already, ready to go. In their mind, they've moved on. They just have to figure out how to get out of the situation they're in with that guy. Whether it's just hooking up or whether it's just some sort of situationship or relationship type deal. So they have a plan, and I like to say they have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and sometimes H, I, J, K, because you never know. You never know all the options that women get. I mean, we've had women come on this show and let us know that they have DMs upon DMs and messages, just guys trying to hit on them and get in their pants and, even lock them in for a long-term relationship. They'll give them the world. Guys are simping. It's a lot. It's a lot going on there. And what's the true intention on both sides? From the guy, is that guy really willing to put a ring on that finger? Sure. I mean, again, we don't recommend it, but sure, there are some guys that have that intention. But does the woman have that the intention to reciprocate that feeling? Is the feeling going to be mutual? Because if it's not, then you might want to be careful who you're putting that ring on, right? Because if she's not going to take marriage seriously, if she doesn't want to get married, then you're wasting your time, money, resources, energy, just putting it into someone that's not going to reciprocate it the same way.
Have you guys ever seen, I've seen this from time to time, those videos where like a guy will take a girl out on a date, and then when the check comes, he'll go to her like, hey, are we hooking up tonight? And then if she says no, he'll split the check. And if she says yes, he'll pay it. That's kind of an example of what we're talking about. I personally wouldn't do that. I think men should pay for the first date, and regardless of whether she sleeps with you or not. But it just goes to show you where that comes from, is men are taking girls out on dates and spending money and putting their best foot forward, showing, and it's getting them nowhere. That's at least the male side of it. I'm sure women have their own complaint. But honestly speaking, I think if you take a girl out on a date 2, 3, you haven't hooked up yet, you still don't know where she's. You should just move on. Don't even argue. You don't have to say anything disrespectful. And like I said before, text her a bunch of bullshit because she probably doesn't care anyway. Just move on to the next person. I think that's the whole thing with dating nowadays. Is like, unfortunately, you do have to. It's like a numbers game. That's really what it's come down to. It's really a numbers game. If you're hoping to just like go on a date 2, 3 and find somebody, it's not realistic.
You can't be wholeheartedly with one woman. You can't put your whole heart into one woman because things aren't traditional as they used to be.
No.
There are some exceptions out there, sure. But if you put your whole heart into someone, that means your mindset, your time, your energy, everything, your money, everything is being spent on that one person. And if she lets you down, then what do you got? It's back to the gym, bro. It's start up all over again and get to it and try to make something out of yourself. That's why it's important for men to realize that at the end of the day, they're the prize and they got to work up and up and up to get those women to radiate to them and pretty much make their presence known, put themselves in position for that guy to go up to them and say hello or ask them out or start some sort of conversation. But men, yes, men have to be intentional. Women have to be intentional. Both sides have to figure out who's intentional and who's not.
There's a saying, like in business and hiring, the HR world, where they say hire slowly, fire quickly. You guys might have heard that before. And I think that is a perfect strategy to apply to dating for both men and women. This is not something I'm saying is just for men. You should be very selective with who you let into your life, who you put effort and time into, because of the state of the dating market. And when people screw up, you should give them 1 chance, 2 chances, tops, and cut it off.
100%. 100%. I think another problem, and what's making it harder now, is dating apps, right? Because dating apps are more about engagement and just kind of interacting with the person there, but it doesn't really go further, right? You swipe right, you start talking, you start chatting, and then one person deletes the other person, and then you're back again to swiping, trying to talk to somebody else. It becomes a bit of a hassle, and it's just kind of like it goes around in circles. It goes nowhere. So, that's something that, well, where's the commitment there, right? Where's the intention there? There's really nothing leading. There's nothing there to lead to anywhere. Mm-hmm. There's nothing being created from that. And that's the problem nowadays.
Yeah, I think hands down the biggest problem with dating apps and why it doesn't work for most people is because when you're just swiping through people, you're not feeling like you necessarily invested anything into it. So at the same time, you're not really going to feel inclined to like put a lot of effort towards it, if that makes sense, right? If I didn't invest anything but a swipe left or swipe right, and now put yourself in a woman's shoes, she got received 30 or 40 of those before.
100%.
Why would you really take it seriously, right?
You can't.
So it's like getting a like on a photo. Like it's nice for the moment, but in 5 minutes you're over it.
100%.
So
100%.
Not saying dating apps don't work. I've met people that got married and met their significant other on dating apps, but the general problem with dating apps is that people don't feel any strong, connection through it because it's just an app. You have to meet in person. If you are going to use a dating app, I will say you should use the dating app to connect and very quickly text and say, let's meet up this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You should use it as a tool to set up a date.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, again, you have to make the dating app actually work in your favor. It has to lead to some sort of commitment. And that's the problem with dating apps, that people connect on dating apps, but it doesn't go anywhere. And more women get connections than guys. I mean, there's guys that get few, if any, connections at all, if they're lucky. If they come off and make the impression that they're a man of value, that they have the status and they look like they make a lot of money, the lifestyle and whatnot, women want that and they radiate towards that. So they'll jump on that guy. But there's not many of those, right? Most of the time, women are swiping left on the guy because he's just an average guy. What's he going to bring to her table? And that's what women are looking for. So most of the time, the dating apps aren't even working because it doesn't really lead to a commitment. Maybe a hookup, if that, but even that's tough. So I think that there's a lot of time wasted on that. Dating, intentional dating, when it comes to using dating apps, there's really not much intention there at all. There's really not much going on there at all. So I think that's something that people should, probably start deleting and avoiding that, because that's something this year and beyond you don't want to waste your time doing. If you haven't had any progress from it, if you had some success, great. How has it worked out, right? If it's worked out in a positive way, fantastic. Maybe you got some experience, maybe you learned something. Beautiful. But has it really led to an intentional commitment? It's not often that it does.
Yeah, I really don't bother with dating apps. I mean, it's one of those things that you just go on when you're bored and you'll flick through it and then you'll close the app and that's it. And that's really how most people use it. I can't imagine sitting there and taking it seriously. Like, oh, I gotta swipe right. Let's see where this. You know what I'm saying? Like, people live very fast lives now, short attention span. Like dating apps are. I think when they started off, they were okay, but we're past that era.
Absolutely. So another, reason intentional dating is important in 2026 for those that want to date intentionally, because we haven't talked about that either. Sometimes people don't want to date intentionally for a romantic relationship. Sometimes it is for a hookup type of situation, which is fine. But let the other person know, be upfront with that so they don't expect otherwise. It's funny because there's a lot of guys there are a lot of guys, and of those bunch that hook up with women, they kind of come off as, well, they're hooking up with her and she's going to get some sort of commitment from it. And that's not always the case, right? Women have a great time with the guy. They do what they do in bed a couple times here and there. I guess she falls in love, and then all of a sudden she wants a commitment or relationship. It may be hard because guys don't want to lose that chance to hook up with her, but I think it's important for guys to let her know that, hey, this is just like for fun. This is not going to lead to anything.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like we were saying before, you have to make your intentions known.
100%.
And the best way to do that is to just flat out say it.
Yeah, I mean, the only tough part is that she may not give in to, even though she likes him, maybe she wants to really hook up with the guy, but maybe she won't because of what he said. Because maybe she's looking for
no, of course, it's going to disappoint. When I say be upfront, I'm not saying that that's going to cause everything to go smoothly. Of course, you're going to disappoint people, but I think you're better off doing that up front than later than 3 months into it when you thought it was going to be one thing. You know what I think ghosting happens so much is because one of the two people wants something the other person doesn't want.
100%.
I would say a classic scenario is one person starts to get a little too close and wants to take it the next step, and the other person's like, "Oh, I'm not looking for that." Like, boom,
Yeah.
ghosted, right?
Ghosted. Exactly. And that's a problem. I mean, that's something big when it comes to intentional dating in 2026. And trying to avoid ghosting. I think a lot of people are hard for men to avoid ghosting. I don't think women get ghosted really. It's really the guys that have the problems.
And you know
on their end.
something? Another thing I will say is you should never really push for a relationship. If you feel like you're pushing for a relationship or you're pushing for the person to like be monogamous or you're already starting off on the wrong foot. People don't get into a relationship by force. You cannot coerce somebody into being in a relationship with you. You cannot
Yeah, you can't force
speed
it.
things up because you feel it won't work. And if you try to, you'll ruin it.
Yeah, 100%. If you try to force something into something that what shouldn't be, then it's not going to work out anyway, right? It has to work out for a guy, if the woman wants you and you're willing to take the steps forward to make that hookup relationship happen, whatever it is, and she's up for it, then it's just going to happen naturally. But for you to try to force it, it's like forcing a puzzle piece into a spot where it doesn't fit in. It's not going to work out. It's not going to come together as a whole. So what's the point in trying? If you tried a couple times here and there, let's say the girl wasn't in a relationship, you find out that she's single, you try it out to see where she is, you try to make it a point that you do want to see her, you have intentions to date her, possibly take her seriously. Maybe she doesn't want to rush into something. Maybe she came out of a relationship. She doesn't want to deal with it right away. She wants some time to herself. That's understandable. So once you put it out there that you have intentions of, seeing her, seeing where it goes, could be a situationship or it could turn into something serious. Who knows? Depends. But if she comes off as uninterested, she's texting you kind of half-assed, then right there, don't waste your time. So make your intentions known, and you can do it inadvertently as well by you texting her. What do you get from her? What signals do you get from her? You get that sign that she's not really interested. So you're better off moving on to someone else, or keep bringing your value up and up and up. You want to work to make yourself overall a better person in general, physically, mentally, emotionally. One big thing is getting in the gym. We talk about it all the time. I don't know one podcast that we haven't brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least getting in the gym. We'll probably get into a fitness episode here and there. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but that's something that guys have to focus on, is bringing their value up with physical appearance, their hair, with how they dress, how they smell, right? Sasha Prentice, we had on last time, talked about that, how a guy smells, his grooming. If you have a beard, make sure it's trimmed correctly. All those things are very important and something to keep in mind for men.
Another thing I'll add to this list is you have to find a person that you're compatible with. Look, everyone has a type, right? For a guy, that might be, I want a blonde hair, blue eye, petite, whatever. Add whatever physical description you want. For a woman, it might be, I want tall, dark, handsome, successful, whatever the case is. Everyone has a type and something that they're naturally attracted to. But you'll notice dating tends to go 10 times easier when it's a person you are compatible with. I've had plenty of cases where I was attracted to the girl. We weren't compatible for shit. And I kept trying to push it. And the more I pushed and the more I prolonged it, like, it just wasn't going anywhere. And and I know women go through the same thing. This isn't a man problem only. Sometimes we catch feelings, we get attracted to certain people that we are just not meant to be with. You need to be real with yourself. If you're an introverted person that likes to stay at home and you're dealing with a person that likes to go out every weekend, it's probably not going to work.
It's not a match.
It's not a match.
Not a match. You're going to be an opposite end. She's going to, let's say the guy is the introvert, she's the extrovert, she wants to go out. She's in the club while you're at home. Not going to work at all. I mean,
if you're an athletic person and The other person likes to just stay and play games and watch. It's you know what I'm saying. Like you have to be compatible in terms. I'm not saying you have to be the same, but you have to be compatible in terms of interest, personality, getting along.
100%, 100%. Because if not, it's not going to mesh.
I would say that's more important than even like the attraction level because the attraction is going to subside over time anyway.
Exactly, exactly. The activities that you do, you have to be in agreement. Obviously, everyone has their own job. They have their own career. They do their thing. That's fine. You have to be accepting of that if you know, whatever they do, if you like the other person. But as far as outside of work, now the life that you guys have together, that's something that, well, will it work if I'm a guy and I'm home and I'm working on other projects at home or other activities from home, and I go to the gym, I'm in, maybe a certain class to try to improve, something in my life, while maybe she's out going to the club, going out with her girls to restaurants, girls' nights, etc. That's not going to work, because if he doesn't want to go out and do that sort of thing, then, it's.
This is why a lot of podcasts will focus on red flags and green flags. Is because there are certain traits in people you kind of have to look out for. It's not like a be all end all thing. Like red flags don't mean like, oh, they have a red flag, don't talk to them. Like it's not that serious. But there are certain characteristics in people you should be aware of.
Yeah, if you're letting a girl go out without you, and you intend on taking her seriously, but she's going out, she may run into other guys that will try to kick it to her, really, and try to get her to come that guy's way. I mean, temptation is out there.
I'll give you an example, right? For me, I wouldn't want to date a woman that works in nightlife. Nothing against women that work in nightlife. I know a lot of them over the years that are fun as hell to hang out with and they're fun to party with, but I wouldn't be compatible with somebody. I wouldn't be able to date somebody knowing they're working at a bar, a club, a lounge every Friday, Saturday. It wouldn't work for me.
Might be a fun time. Might be, hook up, if she's up for it or whatever the case is. But to take seriously, it's not going to work out.
Number one, you can't hang out on the weekends because she's always going to be working. She's going to be coming home late. You're always going to be going to sleep wondering where the hell she's at, what she's doing. That's just an example of, to me, like a red flag. Nothing against the person doesn't mean it's a shitty person that they shouldn't date. I'm just saying that I think for a lot of men that are just looking to have a normal relationship, probably a girl working in a bottle service is not the way to go.
100%.
I used to talk to a girl, funny story, Nando knows about this one. I used to talk to this girl that told me she was a bartender, right? She had a regular 9 to 5, working at like a car dealer or something. And she said she worked at nights as a bartender. So she would call me once in a while, and I'm like, I hear the music in the background. I'm like, well, it sounds like a bar. And she's like, well, yeah, today was a slow day. We didn't have a lot of clients. And I found out later she was a stripper.
Crazy.
Later on, I found out she was a stripper. And it's crazy because, like, you would figure if she was hiding it, she would, like, not call me at all, whatever. And she would call me from her fucking job. I would hear the music in the background. She would tell me about her day. And I found out later she was working in a strip club.
It's crazy. We all go through it.
People lie, you know what I'm saying?
People lie. We all go through, negatives when it comes to dating. It's happened to us. What can we say? We can learn from it, improve from it, try to, wake you guys up. We're wide awake on our end and help you prevent those situations. You don't want to go through something like that where you're dating someone, you think they're taking it seriously, but they're really not. They're out stripping for other guys. That's a job that a serious relationship, a guy that wants a serious relationship wouldn't take serious.
No.
And then going back to the ghosting situation, right? So we've all been there. I've been there myself, where you have a date set up with a woman. You are trying to confirm it the night before or early the day of when you planned it, and all of a sudden, nothing, right? So you right there know that the intentions are zip when it comes to wanting a serious relationship, wanting her to take you serious. You try to watch out for that beforehand, because then you may waste a lot of time texting her, talking to her over the phone. And then when it comes down to it, you try to see her in person, and all of a sudden, nothing. So
it's another issue nowadays is like flaking. Ghosting's one, flaking's another one. Definitely.
100%.
Try to make plans. Oh, sorry, something came up. I can't today. Very common.
Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. So, you know, that's one thing when it comes to intentional dating is finding out. You may have good intentions yourself, but trying to decipher if the other person has the same intentions or not. And the sooner the better. Because if you wait, more time, that's more time, your valuable time that you could have put into something else to achieve something else for yourself personally in your life, maybe to just get yourself into a better shape, become healthier, whatever it is that you see yourself improving your life. You could put your time to that and not a time waster like a woman that's gonna end up talking to you and then ghosting to you afterwards. So, so we're gonna jump off soon, guys. But again, subscribe to the channel. If you want to super chat in a question or comment, we'll probably be on for another few minutes. But any last intentional dating situation you want to touch on before we wrap
The
up?
last one I'll throw in here, and this one should be pretty obvious. Where you go to meet other people is going to be a big one, because generally when you hear people talk about pickup and like meeting people, it's always like bars, lounges, clubs, shit like that. That is the worst place to meet people. That's a good place for hookups, one night stands, just to go out and have fun. But like, that's not where you should aim to meet people.
Yeah, not meet people for something serious.
No.
You're not going to meet for those of you that still want to get married, it's a miracle that you still do. But for those of you that you do want to get married and aren't thinking twice about it, club really not the best route to take when it comes to.
One of the last lives we did, somebody mentioned, meeting people in church. Look, if that's your thing, I was never a super religious person, but if that's your thing and you go to church every weekend or you're planning on doing so, I think that's a far better bet. Not saying that all women in church are perfect, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are also BSing themselves that they're religious, but you have a better chance of meeting somebody normal there than in a nightclub.
100%. You have a higher probability of meeting someone at church compared to at a nightclub or a bar or lounge, whatever it is.
I'll give you another one that I see a lot of, not this time of year because it's cold as shit in New Jersey, but when it's warmer, people do like these like run clubs.
The run clubs, I've been seeing those.
Another good idea.
I see those a lot in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, you can meet people there. I mean, you're doing a healthy activity, and
at least you're meeting up with like healthy, like positive-minded, physically active people.
Yeah.
Opposed to just people that are drinking and doing God knows what else.
Yeah, drinking drugs,
Yeah.
Doing other BS. I mean, that's something right there that you share some compatibility with. You already share a common interest or activity with the person. I think that's huge. The run club, other clubs, other sports that you can, that both men and women do together. I think the run club is a great example. That's a really pinpoint example. You can go there, talk to women. Hey, if there's one that's interested in you and you hit it off, boom, there you go. See where it goes from there. And then you guys can do the run club together instead of, being strangers. So that's something that, again, what are your intentions? Your intentions are to improve your life and meet someone that's going to add to your life. I think someone that's going to be in a run club is going to add more positives than someone at a club. 100%.
1,000%. Over the years, like I mentioned earlier, like everyone's gonna experience this where you meet people that you're attracted to, and maybe you hit it off temporarily, you vibe out. But if you're not compatible, if you don't have the same beliefs, if you're two different people, I don't care what the hell you do, it's not gonna work.
Nope, not gonna work. So, yeah. Intentional dating is the way to go in 2026. Obviously, we'll get into, more topics, similar topics to that. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where both men and women should keep in mind and take serious, because if you don't, you're gonna keep wasting your time, spinning your wheels. Dating's really all over the place now. It's you don't know what's what, who's doing who, and who's with who, seriously or not.
Whenever you hear like a horror story of something going south between two people, it usually involves lying, or like the person turning out to be somebody completely different, or you get what I'm saying, or like, oh, I thought they wanted this, but it turns out. So this is what I mean. I think you're better off getting that squared out right from the beginning. People can always be fake and hide to a certain degree. That unfortunately you can't really get that out of them. But I think from your side, you could always make your intentions known, feel the person out, be real with yourself. Am I compatible with this person or not? And keep it moving.
Yeah, 100%. Show who you truly are. I think it's great that if you believe in yourself, you can be intentional, and that other person buys into you being intentional. And it's just about finding out if they're going to be intentional or not. Are they going to be giving as much to you as you are to them? And that's something that you kind of have to figure out. Okay, is this person serious? Or, if you're telling that, if the guy's telling the woman, right, I just want to have fun time, hook up, whatever it is, and she's up for it, great. But if she's not, she's telling you she wants a serious relationship, then respect her wishes, walk away, go on to someone that doesn't want a serious relationship, because you may not be ready for a serious relationship. Maybe you're, 20, 21, 22 years old, and you're just kind of playing the field and seeing what's out there. That's something to take into consideration, and don't move forward with that person and lead them on. As much as we like to say women shouldn't lead men on, because they usually mostly do. The other way around, men shouldn't lead women on either. Be real. That's our motto for 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it real, and be upfront with what you have in mind and what you want, and let her know. That way she can tell you, okay, I'm not down for this. Maybe you guys keep hanging out together. Maybe she eventually does hook up with you, which is great, as long as she knows that you don't plan on having a serious relationship. But of course, anything can change. Maybe you as the guy do want a serious relationship with her, and then things end up working out. But being clear cut and being upfront with what your intentions are, which is, the meaning of our episode here tonight, I think that's very important.
I'll end it on this, right? You should treat it kind of like a job. You wouldn't just see the first job available and be like, I'm taking that one. You're going to see what jobs are available, what the pay is, what the job entails. You may interview with a few of them. And when you start that job, if you clearly see this isn't for you, you're not going to stay there for 6 months and be like, I got screwed over. You're going to leave right away, right?
100%.
I know that's like maybe not the best example, but I think this is really how you have to approach dating nowadays, because this is what everybody's doing. We're in a hookup culture. Most people don't take dating seriously. A lot of people aren't who they say they are. A lot of people are going to lead you on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, great way to end it. And I'm going to end it with this also. It's, again, intentional or not, where are you in your life? Are you willing to take a woman seriously as a guy, or women out there, are you willing to take a guy serious? What route are you taking? Women out there, if you're entertaining your roster, your options, that's fine. But don't lead a guy on. Don't let him think that you're going to take him seriously, right? If you don't want to hook up with him, or you don't want anything really to do with him, then let him know, hey, I'm not interested, which a lot of women aren't afraid to do, and you move on from there. Guys, realize that if that's the case and a woman's not interested in you, don't be down in the dumps about it. Just take it, move on, work on yourself, and get women to radiate towards you. I think that's the best way to go. For guys, hey, also make your intentions known. You want to have fun, you want to hook up, let her know. And it may not be kind of the best way to go, because maybe you might lose that opportunity to hook up with her. But, I think keeping it real and being truthful is better than going around and lying about it. Even though some guys will lie about it just to get what they want, and that's where the intention goes down the tube. So I think at the end of the day, to wrap it up here, both sides should be intentional. Figure out what you want, say it, and let's see what happens. Will you be successful? If not, go to the next person and see if you're successful with them, and eventually you'll get what you want. So don't give up. Be intentional and keep pushing forward. On that note, we're gonna wrap it up.
Thank you guys for watching. Before we go check out our full-length videos. If you like what you see, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, TikTok, Rumble. If you like to listen to audio podcasts, we're on Spotify as well. If you want to listen to us while you're driving to and from work, we have a bunch of full-length episodes with guests on. We talk about all different types of topics around dating, relationships, marriage.
Yep, exactly. So support the channel and support your boys, Rob and Nando. And we have an episode dropping this week, probably tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those days. So keep an eye out for that. Help us grow. We're trying to get to 100K subscribers. We're on the way. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.